Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Adobe Fonts Show, episode 56
Behind the scenes of making a font.
with Hoodzpah. Thank you all for coming. I
Welcome.
see the chat is already very busy, so thank you all for joining us.
Yes, great to see everyone. Let us know where you're from in the chat. And we'd love to start the discussion going, and even starting with your questions that we can get to our special guests throughout the stream.
Indeed. I'm Ben. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, formerly in Brooklyn. I'm going to stop saying that in the new year, but I figure I could say that one last time before it gets too old. But yes, in Nashville, Tennessee, and coming to you in, I believe, Mountain Time? No, Central Time. So there you go.
Cool. Well, I'm coming to you from Pacific Time in the Bay Area, California, and I'm Ari. If you haven't met me before, I'm the library manager, scratchy throat library manager for Adobe Fonts. And my team works with all the foundry partners that design the fonts that are included in your Creative Cloud subscription. We currently have over 150 partners, and one of them is our guest today.
Very exciting.
And we're constantly adding new fonts to our library. So it's very exciting to have them here to talk to us.
And yes, if you're new to Adobe Fonts, which I don't think any of you are, but if you are, it is a very large library of fonts, over 26,000 fonts that you have for personal and commercial use. So if you've never used Adobe Fonts before, just go to fonts.adobe.com. The homepage has a trending section, a recommendations section, a on hidden gems section. So just go there and you'll find a bunch of cool stuff to get you started. It's really one click to start using a font in Creative Cloud. So check that out.
Yeah. And here on our show, we talk about all things fonts. We have great workshops with professionals in the type world. And if you like the show, you can subscribe to Adobe Live on YouTube. And you can follow us, Adobe Fonts on Behance, to be updated on all future episodes and to watch replays of other episodes. So even this one, if there's something that you really liked and you don't remember what you saw, it's going to be available to you to rewatch anytime.
And if you're on YouTube right now but want to chat with us, Hoodzpah is in the chat on Behance answering questions with us live. So come over to Behance and you'll see us there. Awesome. On that note, I think we'll just get right into it and bring in our guests. I don't think they need much of an introduction at this point, but we'll let them tell us a little bit about themselves now that they are here. Welcome, Hoodzpah, to the Adobe Fonts Show.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us. Oh my gosh, it's great to be back.
And it's
Yes,
Amy and
it's
Jen
great.
Hood is actually who our guests are, who are the founders of Hoodzpah.
Yes. Oh, but Hoodzpah's fine. Anything you want to call us. We go by each other's names. We go by last names.
Luckily, we have
girls.
names
So
displayed on
Yes.
screen so we can
yeah,
tell you
that
apart.
was smart. Yeah, very smart of Ben to do that. Labels. It's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. If you would, just very quickly tell us a little bit about Hoodzpah and what you'll do. And if you want, I mean, we're going to dive into font details in a second, so we don't have to dive into that yet, but just kind of how you got into design and what you did to have you end up here on this show right now.
Oof. Okay. Well, we started Hoodzpah. We're a brand identity studio mainly. That's what we've been doing mostly since 2011. But as you all know, when you work on logos, sometimes you want to do something custom. And so we got into custom lettering a lot and definitely started polishing up those skills a little bit more and more. And so Amy actually did her first font through Retro Supply Co. with Dustin Lee, who invited her to collab on one.
Palm Canyon Drive.
Yep. I see it everywhere. It's like, it's my baby. It'll be like Thirsty Scripts soon, where it's just rampant.
Yeah.
And everybody wants it to stop. Hopefully we get a font where everybody hates it one day. That's when you know you've really just run the whole gamut.
Yeah.
And
And then
then
you come back. Like, have you guys noticed that Creed is having its
resurgence.
Like,
Matchbox 20's coming back.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
everything that went down is going like soaring now,
yeah,
you know?
no.
Hang
So,
on to those
anyways.
t-shirts for bands you think are now uncool. They're going to be cool again
Right?
at some point, and then you'll be able to sell those shirts or just wear them proudly. Either way.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
man.
people on Etsy are funding like college tuitions with this kind of money. They want like $400.
It's
People are crazy.
Apparently, Mariah Carey had a secret alt band, and she released the album for the alt band, and I forgot what it's called. and her first like
Pop single.
pop single at the same time. And the pop one took off, so she never did it. But someone like surfaced this like a month ago, and all of these like bootleg copies and old merch and stuff just like started going like for like hundreds of dollars on. But I was like, that's incredible. Anyways, all to say, tell us in the chat what your deepest, darkest secret from the 2000s was. What was your like deepest, darkest musical
if you were
secret?
born.
Because we were listening
And
to Three
living.
Doors Down the other day, and I'm not gonna lie to you all, it's better now than it was then. Anyways,
I still like
So-
Matchbox 23 AM. That's
Yeah,
a great
they're so
song.
good.
It's a great song.
And Third Eye Blind, they're so good.
It's
If
a
you
great
say they're
song.
not,
They're
you're
a great
just not
band.
living.
They're a great band.
I mean, melody, you gotta have it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we
your
do type
aspiration
designs.
is to have a font that everyone hates one day.
Yes.
That's
yes.
ironically worn on T-shirts that people
Yep.
pay hundreds.
That's how you know
for.
you made it.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it could be like Cooper, where for some reason,
Ooh.
despite the prevalence, nobody cares.
We
It's
all
like
still love
we
it.
all
It's
still
beloved no
just
matter
keep
what.
using it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the M&M commercial that you see every year. You're like, oh yeah, that's
Mm.
nice. That's safe. I like that.
Yeah. But anyways, so we started getting that gave Amy the typeface bug when she did the one with Retro Supply, and then you learned how to do it on your own.
I
just
remember
kind
I
of-
told him, I was like, I don't think anyone's going to want this. And then it totally blew up. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like I don't know. I hadn't heard of people making fonts up to that point. Just felt like something a rare few were doing in like a basement somewhere, you know? And so then when I learned the programs and all that kind of stuff, we started using Glyphs app, and their documentation is incredible. So I just learned it from the documentation and from some like YouTube videos from people like Lin Yun, and who's just so generous with her knowledge. And then Karen Chang's book, I think it's Designing Type, was like super helpful. And yeah, just kind of like started testing things out and doing lettering pieces, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. Someone asked in the chat, where do the Mighty Mighty Boss tones fit into this? And I think
Oh man.
right in the
You know,
middle is
I
where they
think-
fit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Scott is posed for a comeback because it's been the butt of too many
Yeah,
jokes for
true.
about 5 years, which
True.
means that the next generation is going to love what we hate and vice versa. So
They'll
I
watch
think it's
Clueless and it'll just somebody
Yes,
will
I was
take
going to
it
say
right away.
Clueless. They have a cameo in Clueless, which means
So
to me,
good.
that means they're immortalized forever. It doesn't matter. They're,
100%.
yeah,
I love
they're
because
Because it's a perfect film.
I love when she gets in the
It is.
car and he's like, "Do you like Billie Holiday?" She goes, "I love him."
awesome. Yeah. It's so good.
Anyways,
Oh.
fonts. About it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to our topic today, which is behind the fonts with you both. I don't think this needs any introduction, but if some of you don't know what this is, I'm just going to let you go try to find this branding elsewhere, and then you could figure out what this is copying. If you're too young to know, it's an exciting thing, so go check it out. All right, let's dive
Yes.
in. You ready to share your screen? We're good? Okay, we're good. Here we
We're
go.
good. We're good. Let's do it.
Awesome.
So we thought we would just take you on a little
Oh,
peek
sorry.
behind some.
I'm so
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Before we go any further, we are doing a giveaway today. I forgot to mention this. And I just wanted to explain briefly how it works. So sometime throughout this presentation, there will be questions that are font related. We'll have 3 winners. Each question will have a winner, and each winner can pick one of 3 prizes. I know that sounded a little bit convoluted, but we'll help you out. So if you get the answer first in the chat, then you win. And if you win, we'll get in touch and you can pick a prize. That's probably enough information to understand.
Yes.
So when the
Perfect.
questions are coming, maybe give us a little heads up, and we can kind of get people geared and ready to type on their type in the chat. Otherwise,
Okay,
ready
perfect.
to
I
go.
do. I have preemptive slides so that everybody's like
Excellent.
poised and ready.
Excellent.
Okay. But yeah, we just thought we'd go behind the scenes. But if you have any questions in the chat and you want to skip over anything and you just want to get to your questions, ask us. We'll get to those. It's good. It's casual. So here, let me go here. Okay, so Hood Fonts. This is our foundry mark that we just made. I just made it. It was totally inspired by the old printer marks. Do you know the
Ooh.
ones I'm
I
talking
love
about?
those.
Where they're just like so incredibly epic.
I've never seen
And they
these.
all somehow look the same. But it's like Albrecht Dürer had his own little printers like engraved to mark, and a lot of the different old printers had them. And I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if we had something like this. So we made one recently. It's kind of like we're a branding studio and we didn't brand our own like foundry. So we're like, all right, let's do it. So anyways, that's where that came from. We
It
still need to
kind of
like file a
reminds me
DBA.
of the Prince logo.
Oh,
his
yes.
name.
When he was the symbol.
The symbol, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like his was like this Egyptian kind of style, but it did.
Yeah,
It had that.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just watching a YouTube of him the other day and he performed on a stage in the shape of his logo. I'm just like, man,
Yeah,
he gets
wow.
branding. He
He
really
totally
does.
does. That's incredible.
I
These
love
are
that.
really cool.
Oh, they're so cool. Yeah.
Does that mean
but-
you're changing your foundry logo?
So we need to
We
update
We have a
everything.
new site coming soon. So the
That's
devs on it.
great.
The devs on it.
Yeah.
Nice. Exciting.
So It is exciting.
You heard it here first. Breaking news.
Breaking news, everybody. Okay, so we're going to do the first of the giveaways. I just put it at the top of the hour. I just put it right in here. So winner gets to pick one of these prizes, either one of our the proposal template, the proof template, or an ebook copy of our Freelance and Business and Stuff book. Okay, so what it is the first to answer this question right gets the prize. So what is the font John Carpenter uses in most of his movie title treatments?
Go.
Go.
Also,
Now it'll take a little while.
yes,
to
there's
see
a little bit
delay.
of a delay, so we're just kind of
let's check off.
yeah.
Yeah.
The anticipation is killing
And
me
this
already.
means like the credits.
Right, for Halloween.
Also, like the
or-
name that he always puts his name at the top in the title treatment of the movie at the top.
Oh.
Oh, someone got it. Yep.
Someone got
Kristen
it.
got it.
Kristen,
You
you
got it.
are the winner.
And
Good for you.
Albertus. Yeah. I always thought it was the same one they used for Stranger Things. And then I Googled it and it's not.
No, that's
Don't say it. That's one of the next quiz questions.
no, now people can look it up. It's just whoever's the fastest typist now.
Okay, shit. Well, the next winner.
Well, he already won the Andrew Martin.
He won.
He has
Okay,
to
Andrew
be,
Martin.
Andrew, you got to be ready to do it when the question comes. You won't know when the question's coming, so
Then
Be
it's
ready.
just who can type fastest.
now they're already going to have it in the chat. They just have to hit enter.
There we
Yeah,
go. Yeah,
exactly.
just get it ready. Get
Just
it.
do it up. Do it up. Okay.
Oh
Oh,
my
Jamie,
God.
what's up, Jamie?
This is
Jamie
funny.
Stark's amazing.
Oh, hey, Jamie.
He's a local friend, freelancer, typographer, really great.
Yeah, teaches type at LCAD. But
Teaches
yeah,
type at LCAD, yeah, Jamie. Anyways, so about our fonts, usually as far as like finding your idea, for us, it comes from like one of four things. It's either something we've developed for a client that they didn't use or didn't like. We would never reuse something that was, specifically for them and intended to be just for them. But unused client work that they discarded, I mean, we can give it new life. We can breathe new life into it. So, I mean, that's where or Palm Canyon Drive
yeah.
came from. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things where clients kept coming and always having this logo that I just did for another client on the mood board. And everybody was wanting this monoline script. And they really were hard to find at the time. And I couldn't find them. And I know they were probably there. It's just like, how long do you want to scroll, right? When you know that maybe you could do it yourself. So yeah, so that's when Destin Lee of Retro Supply Co. reached out and was like, hey, we should turn this into a font. And I was like, nobody wants it. And I was so wrong and he was so right. And yeah, it did super well. And there's so many things that I wish I could go back and change now that I know so much more and I have like a more discerning eye. And yet I find that there's like a magic when you don't know the rules. And I wish I could find the balance between forgetting the rules so that I could be more instinctual with it and still like having a nice cohesive font that's like easy to use. But I feel like that's the constant struggle of type design.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beale was the same thing. You made lettering for a Hoodzpah promo for a talk we did at Creative Works Memphis, which was this lettering up here. And you were like, that's just so fun. And it didn't look like anything we had really seen at the time. And so
and famous
back in
last words, it's
2018
like, oh, how hard can it be to just build out in all caps? We'll just test it. And of course, it's much harder than that. And you always realize that once you finish the caps, you're like, okay, now I have to do all this other stuff.
it's not making the initial 27 or however many letters, 26. Anyways, it's not bad. It's all the stuff that comes after that takes forever.
Kerning, marketing, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. But I think if you have that kind of, we talk about all the time, the blind, naive courage and confidence that you need to just start something without knowing what it will entail, I think that's actually kind of helpful. Because by the time you get into it, you're too far in to say, it's too far to turn back. Or hopefully you are, and hopefully you follow through. So I think just get started. I don't think, anyways, because that's where Beale came from. Then you developed it out. You made the, you started as the all caps. And
then that went well. And we kind of, sometimes we'll do that. We'll kind of do like a test thing where it's like, I'm thinking like, I'm constantly looking for a certain kind of font. So I'll do a piece of lettering. And then it's like, does anyone like this? You kind of throw it out to your socials like, hey, what do y'all think? And it's like, of course you don't want your audience dictating every move you make. Cause then it's like, it's almost like designed by committee. It's just like, what have they already seen that they're familiar with?
Or like the YouTube algorithm. It's like you watch 2 videos about whatever, and suddenly that's all they give you. It's like, don't you see that I want more in my world than just cooking videos
so
or whatever?
Sometimes you want to surprise, right? You want to give something that they may not expect and they may not know. So I don't know. But anyway, that is a good way to kind of gut test. And so for this one, that worked. So we built it out, did the lowercase, I started learning how to do, weights and interpolation and diacritics, all that kind of fancy stuff.
Yeah. And then the other thing that our fun ideas come from is personal projects. So stuff that we do in our free time just to explore new styles, which you all probably do. It's like, I really want to be trying this thing, but my boss or my clients don't ever ask for it. And so you try something new. And sometimes we'll just develop it just as lettering first and use it on, like, I should say we, it's mostly Amy, I'll be real. And like Amy pretty much does almost everything that's in our shop that we do just for fun. And so she'll develop it into a poster first. If the poster does well, that's like the test to see if we should develop it into a font. So like Lone Pine started as a poster.
Yeah. It's just like, what can I do with like a funky, geometric reverse contrast? Everyone was doing these like really funky things, and I was just trying to kind of like exercise that side of my brain instead of doing like pretty scripts for once. So yeah, sometimes it's just like a test for yourself, like to grow, right?
I think your Kentucky roots really show through.
Yeah, this is like super Western, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. A French guy used it on this like French art piece, like, or it was like a video, it was like a movie.
Yeah, he used it for like a French fashion house, which I never would have put together, but it's on Fonts in Use, which is one of my favorite sites. So definitely go check it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so funny when someone uses it completely opposite to the kind of like, I guess, genre intended, but it's like it works so well. I love
it's
that.
very elegant, the swatches, even though it has the Western reverse contrast, it has very high contrast, which makes it
Very
elegant.
classy looking, yeah.
Totally.
You're right. It kind of has the Bedoni high contrast, like that you would expect in fashion, that kind of vibe, even though it's like not at all like that in execution and form.
Also, it's in Adobe Fonts, so the link is in the chat right now, so go check it out if you want to try it out.
Thanks to Jack for sharing that. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, Nina Sir is in the chat. What's up, Nina?
Hey, Nina.
Like for example, Aim's working on a serif font right now that has no name yet.
And Ari, what you just said, I'm always looking for a low contrast serif. Like I really don't like the high contrast serifs once they get to bolds. Like I love them in the finer weights. And I was like not quite finding what I wanted, something with like really exaggerated like serifs and like kind of what we're seeing now. And so I like started making some posters and was doing some things for just other fun stuff. For shows I like, Lady Parts is a hilarious show.
Have you all seen Lady Parts?
No.
Because Ben, you're a musician, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so it's about these Muslim women in London, and they form a band, like a punk band, and the songs are so catchy and hilarious.
What
They're like
what is it on? Where do I find this show?
Peacock? Yeah.
Okay.
If you like shows like Reservation Dogs or Shoresy, shows that are very like specific to a unique niche culture,
Nice.
you'll like Lady Parts. It's really funny, and the songs are so good.
Awesome.
But yeah, you just start drawing stuff, and then you kind of see like what's sticking, what's something that I'm always looking for, and maybe there's like a little hole for me to make my own little, because it's like obviously I'm always worried about doing a serif because I've always thought for the last 8 years, who needs another serif? Like everyone else is doing such better serif work. But then I thought, why can't I do a serif? Why can't it be me? So I thought, what am I looking for? What are the fonts that I constantly go back to? Like P22 Macniac. I know it's completely different vibe than this, but it's low contrast, and it's got like very open apertures and like high X height and like those kind of things. So I was like, it'd be fun to do something like that, but just a little bit more extra. So yeah, so that's kind of where that one.
Yeah, this is how it's progressing, and hopefully it comes out soon.
I like the pointiness.
Yeah,
the point. It's fun, right? I'm always like impressed by people who do rounding on their, it's just like the minute detail to have like slightly rounded serifs and things like that. It's just like, oof. But yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, like from start to finish, not so much like total time, but duration over which it takes us to put out a font? Because we aren't a just solely type foundry. We also have what most of our time goes toward is our brand identity studio and graphic design studio.
I would say like a year, sometimes 2, depending on how busy we are. Especially because sometimes, I don't know about you all, but maybe Ari, you can speak to this, but sometimes you just need to let it sit and marinate, and you need to just walk away from it for like 4 months and just like, it just needs to sit, and then you can come back with fresh eyes, it's like, so yeah.
Stephen King puts his first draft in a drawer and doesn't look at it for at least a month. Or maybe longer.
I love that.
That's like he has to do that because he has to reread it with fresh eyes.
Because you get too in the weeds, or you just get too in the midst of it, and you almost, and actually Jen and I started doing briefs for our own fonts because we kept getting so off track from the original goal that we were trying to do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that really is the test of like, is this worth anything?
Happens with music too. If you're mixing music,
Oh, yeah.
your ears get so used to certain sounds, and you have to just take your headphones off and go do something else for a second. Same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Other places our ideas come from, type in the wild, like Santa Ana Sands. Around Santa Ana, there's a lot of just hand painted sans serifs that are imperfect. Obviously, a lot of these have a lot of more decoration to them, but just the complete auto service under here, and just the kind of wonkiness of it inspired AIM to do like a quick, like a sans of that style,
Right.
And that's where that one came from. And then Make What You Need. This is where my first font came from. I was always looking for condensed sans serifs that had a little bit more personality than the compact,
Right.
condensed that you usually see. Or Beverly Drive, right? Left and right. You were always looking for scripts.
Fancy scripts that felt like a signature. Like there's Sud to Post Studio, who you all have on Adobe Live or on Adobe Fonts. They have incredible scripts, and I hadn't found them yet. So I thought, why can't I make like some sort of like a cool mid-century modern, like kind of like left leans signature script kind of font? You always see these on Pinterest, these like huge, like amazing vintage logos where it was just like more is more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always looking for fonts that were kind of like that. And like huge, cap letters, and then like little, little lower cases. And so that's how this one started. And we, the sketches for this one are so rough. I think I have them in future, but like I ended up redrawing the whole thing. It was like a really, really gestural at first. And then I ended up kind of like reining it in after showing it to a friend who went to Cooper Type, and they were like, maybe you could get a little more consistent, a little more, And so, but now I want to release this one again. I'm like, we should just release it under like, how they have Mr. Eves and Mrs. Eves? Like, we'll just call it like something else. I don't know. But yeah, we kind of redrew it and made it a little bit easier to use and that kind of thing. But the sketches for this were like super rough. It was just kind of like I had the idea in my head. And so they were pretty basic. But
And then someone had a question. Any software you use besides Glyphs, or any plugins or extensions for Glyphs?
Glyphs has tons of great plugins, and almost all of them are free. But I don't use anything besides Glyphs. Sometimes I will start in Adobe Illustrator just because if I'm trying to flesh out an idea really fast, I'm just really familiar with Illustrator. So I'll just jump right in there and just kind of get my basic forms of a couple things out. And then if I really like it and I feel like it has some promise, then I'll take those forms into Glyphs, kind of start out with a couple of the key characters, and then kind of build out from there.
Yeah.
Because like Glyphs is like, you can create the serif once, and then it's a component, almost like a smart object, and you can just attach it to all the corners. And then you update the serif once, and it updates all the corners. Like it just has some really great features that save you so much time.
And then there's like plugins I'll use that are like stem measurements, like where it'll show you the measurement of the stems to make sure that they're all consistent. It'll give you a little preview. Plugins, I forget what they're called, but that help you see the angles of things. Like by default, you don't have to like go and find it. Just stuff like that. A lot of just like seeing the metrics quickly and easily to make sure that the handles are the same length on certain things and stuff like that. And then also Kern On is a great plugin. It's paid, but it's for help for kerning, and it pretty much uses you kern a few instances of, and it goes through this kind of like shuffle, showing you different pairs, and you kern them, and then it uses that data as an algorithm to smartly kern the rest of it for you, and it really works really well.
That
so
sounds super useful.
yeah,
Isn't that
it's
great?
amazing.
It's like finally AI serving us well for once.
Yeah.
Helping with something that literally, if I had to do myself, would
We
take
don't
forever
want
and
to
would
do
be
it.
pointless. No one needs to
Exactly.
do this.
Please take it and do it.
Mhm.
On that note,
And
really
then-
quick before we move on, do you always start with pencil and paper, or do you sometimes start digitally? Just curious.
I do sometimes start digitally, and it is, I feel like I shouldn't, because I usually will like just have to go back to paper just to quickly get ideas out. But like if I'm doing something that's fairly geometric, like for example, that Lone Pine font, I started with purely perfect circles. Like I wanted it to be really geometric, like almost like how the Bauhaus guys designed their fonts, where it's like perfect forms,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I did start with, I'm like, I'm not going to draw a perfect circle. Like, let's just jump into Illustrator.
Who can except a sociopath?
This girl on TikTok, and she's like, I met a guy and I told him my talent was drawing a perfect circle, and he told me to get out of here. I'm like, this is so weird. Anyway. But yeah, that's how things start. But yeah, Redondo, there's this great site, and I should have sent you all the link for it, but it's basically every
Art of the title?
art of the title, every key art and end sequence title graphics and things like that. They have all of these. It's just a huge resource from like, since the beginning of film, silent films to now, and it's such a great place to find amazing lettering and consistent lettering. Like, look at this. Somebody drew these script title credits, and they're just so stunning. And that's the thing that I used to love when we were growing up, is like watching the Disney movies, and they used to put the titles at the beginning. So it'd be like Peter Pan, and it's all beautiful hand drawn. Every credit is hand drawn. Like, yeah, it's just, that's
So
such a
cool.
great place.
So we should be clear that the image on the right is not ours.
No.
It's the inspiration, and we
From
probably
Art of
should have
the Title.
referenced it.
Yeah.
Also, I love in those old titles when they're on film and there's that slight jitter with all the titles. I
Mhm.
love that
Yes.
so much.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's just so
so good.
satisfying.
I miss
It's like
it.
somebody, hand did these. So yeah. And then in order to get things done quicker, I always will like use a current project if I feel like it'll fit. But like I was doing a poster for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was like, ooh, be a great place to use my font. Like, I just know it would fit the vibe. It's like a retro vibe. And so I like finished a bunch more letters and like just like jamming out, on my typeface. But I find like giving myself little projects helps me kind of like treat it more like a client work, give it deadlines, try to get things done a little quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see how mine is totally different. Even when you look at inspiration, it still ends up being your own, because, you have your own style, you have your own way of interpreting what you see. So like, even though those title credits were my inspiration, it turned out quite different.
All right, giveaway number 2. Everybody get ready. Okay, winner gets to pick from these prizes. Be ready to type. First answer the question right wins. Wes Anderson is known for using Futura. However, for Moonrise Kingdom, he had someone design a custom script called Tilda. Who designed Tilda? Let's see if anyone can get this.
Dun, 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 dun,
Also,
dun.
I rewatched Rugrats episode 1 yesterday on Hulu, and the music is so good. It's by Mark Mothersbaugh did the music,
Yes.
which is
That's
hilarious.
From
crazy.
Devo.
Yeah. Yes.
Hillary, says Jessica Hish.
Nice.
Hillary.
Nice.
Hi, Hillary. Hillary's amazing designer. She's a brand designer. She does incredible work. If
does.
anybody wants to
Solid.
Google her.
Very
Her
solid.
studio's called Hilco. Ava also does beautiful work. Her studio's called Anders.
Oh,
Anyways,
and
there's a lot
Eva.
of beautiful people in this. Beautiful people. Anyways, so that's giveaway number 2. Good job, everybody. All right. Diving into sketching, someone asked about sketching. Whether rough or refined, we always have like some kind of vibe. Okay, I think it's unfair to show Amy's sketches, which are what these are, because Amy's practically a robot. Because look at this. It's like
Sometimes it works out.
practically
Sometimes-
identical to the final. My sketches don't look like this at all. They look more like a human did it. But
But I will say, doing all of our own custom fonts and typefaces, like that really prepared us for when our friend Neri Rivas tapped us to do some key art work for 20th Century. And then that led to, they got bought by Disney. So we work with Disney and Hulu. We work with pretty much all of them now. And just having that under your belt of being able to go into glyphs and just understand, the inner workings of type, it makes like getting jobs like this possible. So this was for the movie Rosalind on 20th Century. And yeah.
But even like this,
Which
which
one
is
was chosen of the one?
Oh, it's the
that you
one at the
picked?
top, that pink one.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
it's like a modern Shakespearean thing. So it's kind of like a rotunda, modernized thing going on.
yeah.
Nice.
But I'll tell you what, doing all these title treatment projects with these, entertainment companies, it's a good exercise because they want tons of comps. And so we're doing like 20 at a time, and you have to be pretty quick. And they know that like, it's not going to be completely perfect at the beginning because you can't use fonts to base it off of for licensing reasons. They want it all custom. And I'll say, having our own fonts in-house, it's nice to be able to at least use our own, because it's like we don't care if we're ripping ourselves off, and it's helpful to have somewhere to start. Otherwise it's just like, it makes you really fast though at understanding and developing like ideas quickly.
Right.
So doing something like that, like a 20 days of type or whatever, like those kind of, you
Yeah.
cannot replace that kind of just repetition. Like it's just so valuable.
Totally.
But even just sketches like this one for Beverly Drive Left, the idea is just to get down the general shapes. This is not like super, fine tuned or anything, but at least you get the idea down. Yeah. But anyways, I think sketching is handy to get a general idea, obviously. But on mine, I think I started directly in Illustrator to do my sketching, just kind of like playing around until I liked one of the letter forms and then pretty much built the whole font around the letter, that one letter that I liked.
I guess there's no wrong way to start, right? So if you feel
Right.
more comfortable starting digitally, start digitally. If you feel more comfortable with a pen and paper, pencil paper, do that, or a brush, or
100%.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So smart.
Yeah. Besides sketching, we found that it's helpful, like we said, to kind of create like one sentence that describes like what's the purpose, you know, even if it's like, I want it to look like this, except for be like that. Like for Kensington, pretty much I was using Knockout by Hofler like constantly. I love the varied widths and all that, and just how compressed some of their weights and styles get. But it's more straightforward,
It's
obviously.
like more utilitarian.
And
Yeah.
I wanted something that had a little bit more like just like
Bougie.
I don't know, yeah,
Elegant.
yeah, something. So that was my brief. It's like Knockout, but it's crazy cousin or something, you know. And you can see, like, I mean, there's really nothing similar about it except that they're both condensed or compressed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know. I think it's easy when you start to be like, everything's been done. Like, and then you get into the weeds and you're like, it's so different, you know, and it's just like, then you kind of become a monster and you can't enjoy anything. Like I was watching What We Do in Shadows, or What They Do in Shadows. I always get the name wrong, but oh my gosh, have you seen the font they use? First of all, props to them for using a font with personality instead of just going Helvetica. But it's like, it's a defont font, because there's like between certain letters, there's like huge gaps in the kerning. It's so funny. But then you just can't enjoy even you're just watching TV on your downtime.
Totally.
And then as far as it's an illness,
right?
It's an illness.
It's like there's
noticing fonts.
The Ram guy on TikTok. He's always doing these like little skits where it's like you're at dinner with a type designer or with a like designer, and it's so funny. They're like, "Oh, that's Futura," and the date's just like, "We don't want to hear about it."
Stop talking about typefaces. We wanted to make hats that was like Mothers Against Helvetica, just like weird.
Remember those MAD? Like it was like a MAD, MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah.
It's just like fonts ruined my children. Like they aren't normal anymore. Like we don't even know what it means. We just thought it was really funny.
It was so funny.
But I think we should still do it.
Yeah.
Let's see in the chat. Would you buy a hat that said
Mothers Against Helvetica? I was worried that the Helvetica stands, you know, like the Christos might come against it, and then what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
But any marketing is good marketing. I think having a rivalry will help.
ooh, we should start a rivalry with like, oh no,
You'll
type
probably
color.
sell more Helvetica just by having that.
Yeah.
So
It'll be like
everybody
Liam and
wins.
Noel Gallagher, just like
Yeah.
keeping sales up by
Ooh,
just being.
yeah, me and Jen need to start a rivalry like Liam and Noel Gallagher. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
We did compile for another talk how much time it took us on certain typefaces to make them, which I
Oh,
thought was
yeah.
interesting because we track everything. And we found, so Redondo took 153 hours, but didn't you say you redrew this one like twice completely?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one was quick actually. I thought, considering it's a script font, I feel like scripts are so much harder because of the connecting aspect, you know, and so yeah. But I thought it kind of flew by. I went to town on the graphics. That's usually my problem. The graphics usually take like,
Well, you can see, yeah.
yeah,
It took
the
more
promotion
time
took
than the
more time
design.
than actually designing the font. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, your graphics are really beautiful, and
Oh,
that's
thank you.
half the appeal, right? When people browse
you
and
think?
try to find fonts, they
I would
need
love
to
to know
see how
y'all.
it would be used.
Mhm.
Yeah, because you are the managers, you are the stewards of the foundry of Adobe. So it's like, do you guys see like that the people who put like a lot of effort into the graphics or do like have more success as far as like people turning on the font or things like that?
Yeah, definitely. The graphics play a huge role, especially if they show an example of use.
Right.
If it's not just the name of the font and it shows like different ways you can use it or inspiring images, people really gravitate towards that, because when you have a project, a lot of times you're just at a loss. Like, I need to find
The
a
blank
font. There's so
page,
many,
like,
there's so many
fear.
options. Like, what's
Yeah.
going to fit in my project? If everything's just black on white, it's not going to get you there as quickly.
Yeah.
So I think it helps a lot. Even
It's
for
like-
me, when I look at things, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. And then I'm like,
Totally.
wait, I need to see it black on white too.
Right, I
Don't
know.
get
'Cause
carried
you
away.
you can be swayed because like I've bought so many fonts that are just typed out, like just a bunch of things typed out, and been like, this will be perfect. And then you try to use it, and you're like, this isn't anything like. It's just so completely different when you try to apply it. So
Mhm.
yeah, having applications, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's good.
I think it's just like with client work. It's like you show someone a logo, you present it to them first in black and white, in no like with
Right.
0 on the page except the logo. Then you show it kind of like evolving into like the context of where it would live, and like suddenly it takes on a life of its own. And sometimes adding the context makes them hate it more, and sometimes it actually helps them to see like, oh, a vision of what it could be. Yeah. So it is funny that your graphics can almost pigeonhole you into a certain style because people see what you've used it on, and they're like, that's not what I'm looking for. But that's where them typing it out in the little, self-type area is nice and stuff.
Yeah.
Chapman Ave took 84 hours. That was one of those layered fonts where it's like had the back shadow and the and like a lot of different layers to it. You actually have to use like multiple layers on top of each other to use the typeface.
But it was like, it was like the forms were already there from Santa Ana Sans. So, and it still took 80 hours,
Yeah.
So, but
Well,
that's
how
like
do
one of
you
the,
record
Yeah.
the time it takes. Do you have software that records you?
yeah, I
or
just
you
use Trello.
Okay.
So we're in Trello, and we
Yeah.
have this add-on called Plannyway that's for our time tracking.
But you can just, I mean, sometimes what I do is I just write it down in my notebook, like 9:30 a.m. to
Mhm.
11,
Yeah.
and that's good enough too. It's just like, I'm just trying to get a ballpark. My main thing is like, will I be able to gain back my time on this? Like, is anyone going to buy this to gain back the time spent?
But you can't think too much about
You
that
can't think
because
about
it's
that.
a long game with fonts. You definitely don't make it back like instantaneously. It grows in popularity, and you make back the money over time. That's the great thing. It's an investment that keeps,
For sure.
hopefully building popularity and getting you money back over.
And the more you have, it's like someone comes and sees one font that they like and they come to your site to grab it. And then they see all these other fonts. Like, it's just easier to capture, potentially more purchases when you have a few more things to offer. So yeah, definitely.
Kensington took 180 hours. That was 10 styles, 6 masters.
And that's with another favorite, Adobe Foundry, Fort Foundry. They're so
Foundry.
talented.
They're so
And they've been
good.
so helpful to us in our, like just font learning journey, typeface learning journey.
generous. Yeah.
Yeah. Maddox and Brian over there are just, you want to talk about attention to detail. I'll be like, they won't find anything on this. And then they're like, just like the most insanely minute. Like they're just they see everything. They've been doing it for so long. They see everything. It's really cool.
By the way, Sonny said earlier that we inspired her to customize all of her logos. That's cool to hear. Yeah.
That's cool.
Customizing the type. I find that's a really
Yeah.
easy way to like make someone's logo that much more ownable.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
Unisur said that she totally buys fonts based off of specimens.
Oh,
I think GT, like Grilly, hands down, I think it's unfair actually, because
They do.
clearly one of their designers is also an incredibly talented software or like developer. Is that what you call it? Because they're making these incredible microsites for like GT Planer and stuff where it was like, if you all look up Grilly type, the microsites they do to promote these things are so cool. I mean, if you had to pay someone and it wasn't in-house, like it would be really expensive to do this
for
kind
sure.
of thing. Yeah,
For sure. It's
Yeah.
like,
Anyways, 3 great resources. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure some of you already have the lettering manual by House Industry. It's a great one.
yeah, that one.
Designing type is so good. I still use it every time I'm designing a typeface. I'll pull it out and get my little cheat codes. And then vintage speedball lettering textbooks on eBay are just like super cool and fun.
Nice.
They're such a gold mine. It's fun to like, I love going on Brand New and reading the comments and just like seeing what people like think about the latest rebrand. And it's always interesting when people who do and don't understand type weigh in, because some people will say like, that script, that's wrong. The swash that leads into the E isn't matching up. And then other people are like, well, actually that's this kind of thing called this. And, it's like understanding like how lettering is made and how like the calligraphers or like the letterers, like used to use strokes, and upstrokes and downstrokes can really help you when you're trying to figure out weighting, right? So if you're kind of like new to lettering and you're kind of just doing it by instinct, these are like really fun books to kind of get you into the like, instead of just drawing outlines, to like thinking about how you would do it with like, a nibbed pen or like a brush or something like that. So yeah, I love those.
By the way, we also sell fun stuff at Hoodzpah. We just got these metal bottle openers. Amy made them out of this ampersand. It's a bottle cap opener, and it's like got a really good heft to it. We've got this typography definitions poster with all the cheat codes for what different parts of type is called, a type ruler over here. Anyways, if you all are interested. Giveaway number 3, we're here. Is everybody ready?
Get ready,
Cool.
everybody.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
okay.
yeah, that looks
That's
First
a
to answer this-
perfect holiday gift.
Isn't
know.
it? I know. It's on the site now. What font was used in the Stranger Things title
And
treatment?
you
Are we
have-
all ready? Go.
you have to
No,
get
I'm ready.
you have to get the prefix. You have to get the prefix.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
The full title. Get the
What
full
was
title.
the original company? Sorry, my voice.
We were
What
laughing
was
with
the
Ari. It's
original
the
company?
season
Oh.
of throat issues.
Zillinger Design Co. Jacob Zillinger got it.
You got it.
So talented.
Um,
Great talented designer.
Also, I was gonna say, if just for fun, if anyone can name another movie that used this font,
Yes.
Oh,
I
oh,
have
oh,
one
oh,
in
Jen,
my head.
Don't let them
Oh,
do
right.
it.
That's
But-
not me.
see if you can in the.
This isn't about you, Jen.
This isn't about you. You probably think this song is
Zen James said
about
it's
you.
Comic Sans. It's so funny. We'll see if anyone can figure it out. I feel like I see that everywhere. That's kind of what I was inspired by for my font too. Like Bengat. First of all, how do you all say it?
I say
is it-
Benguiat, which I know is wrong. I know that's so wrong.
I say Bengiat.
okay.
It's the Husker Du effect, which that's not how you say that either. It's like Husker Du, but it's
Well,
like
it's based on Ed Bengiat, who is
Right.
a person who must have had a way of
Must know how to
pronouncing his name.
Right. There has to be an actual
good call, Ari.
Yeah.
If we go on, let me see. If I look
Ooh.
him
Yes,
up,
Barbarian, Andrew. Yep. They
There's a
used it,
bunch of
actually.
answers in here, and I don't actually know if they're right. So
Barbarian for
Oh,
sure. they
is
used it.
is Star Trek using it, or is that's a great
that
I
might be a
love
good
that.
one. Also, I do know Pulp Fiction uses it. So
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
for,
It's
so
for
funny
all
how
the
when it
actors'
doesn't
name.
use it, guys. I don't. Think
That's the one that's like, what's that one called? It's that one's really similar where it's like really, it's vintage, it's really chunky.
It might be custom for them.
Yeah.
For the Pulp Fiction title,
For Star Trek.
Oh, for
Remember
Star
that
Trek.
one?
Yes,
It's
yes,
got
yes.
the K with the curve.
it is
Yeah.
definitely custom because that
Mhm.
I don't think that curve was from an actual font. I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
custom.
Okay, Justin Reed, he gave us a phonetic spelling. Banguat.
It
Banguat.
is?
Thank you, Justin.
Oh, Bangwait. Oh, Ava. And I feel like Ava's multilingual.
Bangwait?
Ava knows like 4 languages. So
Bangwait?
it's Benguiat.
Banguat, which is what I say.
Oh.
Sometimes, like, do you know when you start to say croissant and you think, am I going to say it the French way or the American way? In the middle, you kind of panic and you say something weird. Sometimes I'll start to say Banguat and I'll just go Bengay.
like
Different thing.
Like it's
like the
French.
cream.
Yeah, like the cream.
Bengay.
Like it's
I
a
like
French
that.
word now.
Yeah, like
I like the
Target.
T silent.
yeah.
Yeah, like Target. Yeah.
That's nice. Also, just
know.
really quick, if you won, check your DMs on Behance, and Jack messaged you. Jack will follow up to get your information and all of that. So if you won the contest, definitely check your DMs on Behance.
Props to Jack for making that happen.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jack.
Awesome.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't have the courage to say croissants. I don't have the courage to do it.
My dad
The
has
one
a story of one of his favorite stories of my mom when she was ordering a croissant at a cafe in Greece, and there was this Greek waiter, and he was like, "Hey, what do you want?" And she's like, "I'll have a coffee and a croissant." and the waiter got scared.
It's like, whoa. Words could kill.
It does. It comes out aggressive. It's like when I was watching this English show, and England has like, you walk 5 minutes and there's a different dialect, and it's like each of them say things so differently. I couldn't keep up with the dialogue because they kept changing accents, and I'm like, now like, you have to like retrain your brain to hear the different things. But yeah, that's so funny.
No, the word that gets me is gyro. And you say hero, and they can't hear you across the intercom on the drive-thru because it's a silent hero.
Yeah.
So then you have to say a gyro.
Well, this is where
I'll have a gyro. Okay. Why do
this
you
is
make me
where
say
you
this?
have an expert that can tell you how to pronounce
Let's hear it.
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
Tell me.
Gyro.
Gyro.
So it's
Okay.
like a r,
Right.
Yes.
Gyro.
which
Okay.
is the gamma, which is the first letter.
Gyro.
But it's
Okay.
very difficult. The fact that the general public now mostly knows it's not gyro is a big
Yeah.
That's a big
a
win.
win for me.
Yeah.
That is the win.
Yes.
Because when I was
Amazing.
younger, it was gyro. Like no one knew.
Right. And what is a gyro? Was
Well,
the
what were the
main-
things called? Do you remember back for Christmas, like it was 1990s, it's Christmas time, and they've got on the TV the ad for like the spiral thing that you do like
Yes,
this, and it
gyro.
makes like,
Gyroscope.
and that was a
Gyroscope.
gyroscope, right? Yeah,
Also-
So it's the same word. It's just that for gyroscope, we pronounce it like that, but we're pronouncing it wrong. It's the
but you're
same,
doing it wrong.
but it means gyro means around, and the meat is rotating around. That's how it cooks.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
it's the same word. It's just like, since it's actually a Greek food, we try to pronounce it right. But for gyroscope, we're like, we'll just.
Also,
whatever.
does anyone
You pick your battles.
does anyone remember the character Gyro from the what is it? The DuckTales. DuckTales.
DuckTales,
Woo!
right.
Yes.
Um,
He was
I
like the
don't remember
taller
it. I
stork
remember.
bird, and he was like a scientist, and he would,
Oh,
you know,
that's-
Huey, Dewey, and Louie would come over, and he would take them on.
Gyro
little
gear loose.
Yeah,
I
Gyro
That's
gear
so
loose.
funny.
He was like a
You just
wacky
made it-
uncle.
Do you remember what was it? Go Go Gadget, or what was his name?
Inspector
yeah.
Gadget.
Inspector
Gadget,
Gadget.
yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
we had some great TV shows.
We did.
Also, remember like Wishbone and all those PBS shows that made learning fun?
Yeah.
Like, I think back on
Ghost
that.
Rider.
And Ghost Rider. Oh,
Also,
I
by
loved
the way,
Ghost Rider.
Goosebumps came out on Disney Plus and Hulu, and I'm
Ooh.
not lying. Like I watched it, kind of like just thinking like nostalgia lured me in, but it was actually pretty quality. I'll tell you
I
what.
think
And
I
I
still
don't-
can't watch Goosebumps. Like
It
I
still
scare
scares
you?
you. Yeah.
because I was
Yeah.
so scared then that
Yeah.
I don't think I can let it go.
Did any?
But I
Also,
had,
just
I had a question I didn't get to ask.
oh please, yes,
Can I
ma'am.
ask it? It was about the two of you and how you work together, because you mentioned, Jen, you were mentioning like Amy works a lot on the fonts and a lot of the fonts, she started the idea and the sketching. So how do each of you divide the work that you do, and like what are each of your strengths and how does that come together? Because I think it's so amazing that you can work together so successfully and be, twins working together for so long and having different maybe aspirations, maybe strengths. So how does that all work together?
And we totally do. That's so funny. You can answer this question, but
Oh, no,
we
you do.
totally do have different aspirations and strengths.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and yet they are kind of intertwined. We're
They
both in the
are.
creative field.
They are, but I feel like, I'm always like, let's finish it and launch it by this date, no matter what. It doesn't matter what it takes to do it. And Jen's like, we don't need to kill ourselves to finish this. Like, we don't have the time, and we'll just push it out. And so we're always trying to balance that, like that kind of thing. But mainly the rest of it is so smooth.
Yeah, no, it's pretty smooth. And
Yeah.
I would say mostly we only work on our own things. Like we hardly ever pass it back and forth to both work in the same file. It's almost always like
We did that with Venice, which is on Adobe Fonts. We did that with that one. But we usually don't. You're right. That's
yeah, we usually
interesting.
don't. Usually it's just like we'll print out and critique, of course, for each other because everyone needs critique, obviously. And then it's up to the person who started it to keep making those changes. Just because it's weird. It's almost like you could have the same exact model of laptop and we do this a lot where we'll accidentally swap laptops and it's like, it feels like a foreign, like, I'm like, where am I? It's like they're all the same buttons. But for some reason, when you get in someone else's font file, you're like,
Yeah.
So I think we just one person owns it, one person does the actual labor, and then the other person just helps critique and give feedback.
So if you have a client project, does that come in and then you decide who's going to work on it? for example?
Sometimes sometimes it depends. Like if it's like a really high profile thing where they expect us to have the whole team kind of like involved, and we also just want to have the whole team involved because we want to get as many ideas out as we can, like that's what the budget is allotted for, then we will all kind of do the sketching, do the ideation, and then we'll, print everything out and basically pick the favorites to present to the client. But sometimes if it's just like a smaller project, smaller scope, like we just know that one of us has like the exact set of skills, we'll just say, okay, Jen's going to do the logo portion and then I'll take over and do the building out of the collateral or like the type and color. And we'll kind of like break it down like that. Yeah. But yeah.
In the chat, Jenna Frieda, she's a twin and works with her twin as well. And she was saying it's the most fun, and what did she say? But pretty much it's very fun working with your twin, but it's also
you'll get. she said.
Harsh feedback it is. It cuts to the bone. There's no like sparing feelings because you're just already past that, you know. But and then also this is interesting. Dustin Reed and Justin Reed are trying to figure out if they're related. This is like a Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey situation where it's like, wait, did our parents at one point?
So that's been exciting drama in the
I'm
chat.
loving that. Yeah, there's some
big
good,
revelations happening over there. It's good.
Wow. Let's go from the type and get to this exciting story that's developing over here.
Everyone's finding their long lost twins.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
I have twin brothers, but they're fraternal, and I look more like them than they look like each other.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Fraternal twins are funny because they're just like another sibling that just popped out at the same time.
We're actually fraternal.
fraternal.
Oh, you are?
That's weird.
Oh,
yeah.
But we look a lot alike.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. But we also look like everyone's already seen. Like everyone's like, are you related to so-and-so? It happens all the time. Someone thinks we're related to someone and we're not. Like we're not related to, if you think we're related to them, we're not. I just know we're not because everyone keeps asking and it's not them. Okay.
We've done our 23andMe. We know we're not related to them.
Must be a California issue. It's like short blonde girl. Yeah. Throw a rock. We're one of many. Oh man.
Anyways.
I switched away from slides because I saw the thank you, but I don't know if we're actually done. I can always go back to them.
We're wrapped. We're done. Done with slides.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, if you want us to like open up any files or anything else, like we are happy to.
We basically got like 4 more minutes.
Okay, we filled the time.
So we filled the time pretty well. I would say let's just ask some more questions and chat for a little bit, and then
chat. If y'all have any questions, we have 4 minutes.
Well, I have a question for you all that you all might know. Do you know the percentage of people who request to be in Adobe Fonts? That like, what's the acceptance versus, and like, what do you all consider when you're trying to get new foundries in? Because I thought for sure when we applied, I was like, oh, we probably won't get in. There's probably so many people. I wonder what the criteria is and all that, you know?
Yeah. Well, I would say most of the submissions we get are an email that says, hey, I'm interested in becoming part of Adobe Fonts. I make fonts. And there's like no images.
No pic. Right.
No
specimens, nothing.
And
right,
then
which
it
is rough.
puts it on me to like Google their name, find their website. So a lot of times I'm like, come on, just put a little more effort and like don't make it hard for us to see your work.
Right.
So I would say a lot of the submissions we don't take as seriously because either they don't put in the effort or, you know, we have a lot we don't have time to do our own research on everyone that emails us. But in general, if we were looking at the percentage that we accept, it's probably like 20 to 30% of the submissions we get. Yeah. And then the other foundries that we add, a lot of times we seek out because we see their work being used or they get recommended to us. But I can say about Jen and Amy that they sent us a lot of material and like a deck about their work. And it was the first time anyone's ever done this. Put that much effort into showing us their work. And it made it so easy. We saw, like I said, I'm swayed by specimens and images. We saw all the images you designed. We saw the stories behind everything. And we know your reputation and your work kind of in general because it's been out there. But seeing that you put that all together and submitted it to us was huge. So just putting in that effort, and that goes for anything. I'm sure you've seen
such a good rule in general.
Any, like when you're presenting to clients or anything, just putting in that extra personal touch. And Camille is commenting in the chat because she's our foundry relations manager. She says, true story. She hadn't seen that before. She's like, look at this. Look what they like sent me.
Camille was awesome, by the way. She made it so easy. So she's great. Shouts to Camille.
Yes.
Well, that's good to know. I think a good deck goes so far for anything. Contextualizing is so important.
It really is.
When it's important to you, make it important to the person you're talking to.
Well, like you said, Ari, it's like people don't realize, but you all are sifting through so many things. You don't have time to Google. It's like they may only get on your radar once, like, you know, as far as like, it's like act like this is your last shot, one and only shot to like really get it right. You know, like really pull out all the bells and whistles and, you know, make it a big to-do. Yeah.
Yes.
On that note, there is a proposal deck and a proof deck that Hoodzpah has on their site. So you should go check those out. If you didn't win one today, of course, you should go check those out. I've
Yeah.
heard
They're so helpful.
very popular too. And they
They're
look
so
fantastic.
popular. And it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, you need one, but building one is such a to-do. And it took us like years to build ours. So that's why we sold it, because everybody was always asking, and we were like, this will be a great product. And it's just so hard to build your own. So you can customize all your own fonts with Adobe Fonts. You can customize all your colors. So it'll look totally unique to you, but it just gives you the building blocks of like what's been successful for us.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
super handy.
Dad said you have to put the effort into a poster. I feel like your posters are always verging on like motivational.
Mine are. I feel like that's not even me though. I'm like, I hate like, you know, like the whole like
Sentimental.
yeah, like too self-helpy. I'm like, ugh. But then that's always what I do. So I guess I need it. So I don't know.
Fantastic.
I saw someone said
Oh,
when we were talking about moms against Helvetica, it was dads against bleeding cowboys.
Oh,
Isn't
nice.
that is so funny? I think it
I
was
like
Justin
that one
Reed.
too.
Just so good.
hilarious,
Well, yeah, we need
yeah.
to make a
All right.
product out of that stat.
we got to wrap it up. Everybody go check out hoodzpahdesign.com. Check out Hoodzpah Design on Instagram and TikTok. They have a great Instagram and TikTok as well. Great bunch of cool stuff on their site. Thank you so much for coming and being on the Adobe Fonts show. It was really, really great to have you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
you
us.
all.
This
So
was
good
so fun, you
talking.
all. Yeah.
We'll have you at some point in the future. Maybe a new font comes out, or we just want to do. We could do something about type in the wild. You could show us type around, you know, Los
that'd be so
Angeles or
fun.
Anaheim or any of that stuff. That could be fun. We've done episodes like that in the past, so that could be cool.
That's fun.
I'm gonna start compiling it.
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks for
bye,
coming.
y'all.
Thanks for joining, everyone.